Hello, friends and traders. Welcome to Shoulder Tap. I am Jack, back and joined by Mick, our headmost risk manager at Topstep. How you doing, Mick? How was the weekend?
Jack, I'm pretty good. Weekend was nice. Saw some fireworks. Yeah, it was good. So I know yours was a good weekend too. Everybody, Jack and I were talking golf before we came on the segment. Jack, did you tell our viewers that you won the long drive contest?
No, not yet. I'm going to do it in the news tomorrow. I have some photo evidence.
Oh,
I need to scrub out some names.
shoot, I'm sorry. I spilled the beans here.
Oh no, it's important news. I'm going to have to see it. I have to look at my account and see what I won too. But back in the trading days when I was younger, I won a trip to Vegas in a company long drive tournament at an outing. So I don't think I'm getting
Nice.
that, but a dozen balls would be nice. So that's where we are.
Yeah, well, those balls are valuable. We know that they get lost every once in a while. Speaking of long drive competitions, contests through companies, I recall winning the long drive competition last year at Lake Lawn when we did our Top Step offsite, and I've hung on to that scorecard. I've still not received any award or trophy or
Let's talk to
recognition.
Dan.
Yeah, I've reminded him a couple times. He's like, I think we'll do something again next year. But
All right. Well, we got some long drivers in the cards when we get those today, but how are our traders
we do.
doing on this Monday back?
We're doing okay. Okay. Monday morning, there's a lot to happen this week as far as trading goes. Very happy to see, Dakota, Coach DBA, he's up 15,400 trading the gold. Did that overnight, and I'm happy that he's having a good day because last week was a rough one for him. He lost about $26,000, so he's gotten more than half of that back just in one trading session alone. That's what I like. If you're going to have a big losing week like he has, you got to be
Hmm.
able to make it back in, a day or two. And he's certainly someone who can put up the big numbers. So, him hitting his $6,000 daily loss limit a few times last week, it's okay as long as your winning days are going to make up for that. You don't want to be in a position, nobody wants to be in a position where they are having to have multiple winning days make up for one losing day. That happens
Yeah.
with a lot of traders. Many times, oh shoot, my worst winning day, it's going to take 5 of my average winning days to make up for the worst one. That's not where you want to be. That's not where he is. So shout out to you, Dakota. Good start to the week. Speaking of week, before I rattle off a couple other big numbers from today from our live traders, last week was a good week. I mentioned it on, I think, Friday when I was on with Andre regarding how many people we called up to live. We called up 28 people to live accounts last week.
Okay.
I should say 28 accounts. Some of those people had multiple accounts, but then we only offboarded 8 traders. So that was a net add of 20 traders to the live account, the live prop firm. So really excited there.
Nice.
We've had an anomaly before where we lost more people than we called up, but the common theme is we're adding good traders to the prop firm, and that's what we had last week to the tune of 20 more being added. I also want to give a shout out to Rips. Last week he made $3,500. Hadn't seen much out of him in his live account lately. So I know I mentioned him last week when he had a $2,000 winning day. So happy he's back in the live account trading. As far as people today goes, Cigar up $5,700 in his live account. Jai, yeah, Jai up 4,000. We've got Nick for a tick up 720. And then we've got Pin up $6,300 in his live account today. So Pin's been trading really well. And those are some shout outs that I've got today before we dive into the cards, Jack.
I mean, there's some cards today that I'm definitely looking forward to diving into because there's some big swingers. But who do you want to start with first today?
Well, I have my order. You kind of know how I like to go in order for these things, but is there someone in particular that you'd like to start with? I'm
Oh,
guessing.
we'll we'll get to
I'm
all of
guessing
them.
you
Don't
want to
worry
go with
about it. Yeah.
Shane. We'll get to all of them, but you mentioned big swingers. Should we start with Shane?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about Shane a little bit here. I know last week he was the topic of much conversation with his $130,000 winning day. In XFA, he had 5 XFAs and he made like 26 grand in each one of those doing the trade copying. Um, I wanted to bring him up again today because I keep the story going. What happens, or what has Shane been doing since he had that $130,000 winning day? And Shane's been hitting his daily loss limit. We have 4 days in a row now of daily loss limit of $3,000 hit. So he's kind of on a, if you take 3,000 over 4 days and then multiply that by the 5 accounts, he's given back close to 63,000 of that 130,000. So I'm happy that he's got a daily loss limit of 3,000 in place. It's a good speed bump for anybody who can take 130 grand out of the market in a single day, or 26,000 in one account. There's other big notable days here too. I got his trade report up. There was a $6,000 winning day, a $9,000 winning day. It's good if you're a big swinger like Shane is. It's good to have a small loss limit to protect yourself, which he has in place. So with that, let's rattle off some of these metrics. So his average daily P&L is still $3,145 every day that he comes in and trades. That's going to be skewed a little bit by today. All these metrics will be skewed a little bit by today's performance because he did hit the daily loss limit today, which today is the 4th day that he hit it in a row. But still, average winning day, $10,660. Average losing day, like I said, right at that daily loss limit. I already talked about his best day, his worst day, not a lot of slippage. He's only trading 5 lots for the most part, so he is not getting a tremendous amount of slippage like someone else I'll be talking about it on the third card here, unless we jump out of order. But, I like that Shane's taking big bites out of the market, Jack. There's a few
Mm-hmm.
things that I want him to consider, though. I mean, his risk reward's essentially 1-to-1 on a per contract basis. That should probably change a little bit. He's also taking 31 trades a day on average. That's a lot. I mean, I know he's trading on a short time frame in the NASDAQ, but 31 directional biases inside a trading session, especially when there's when you look at the time window where there actually is good volume and participation, that's a lot. So he's a busy boy. I have some concerns about how often this daily loss limits hit. I go back again to saying that 3,000, it's okay for someone that can take this much money out of the markets. But I think of a lot of our other big swingers that put up big days. And, we'll see if he maintains the 45% winning days, because he's going to really want to be right more than half the time, or at least half the time on these winning days. Because, what we've seen from a lot of these traders is that daily loss limit getting hit repeatedly will catch up with you. And I also want to point out to the cost of transactions. So 31 trades a
Yes.
day at 5 contracts a piece. This is something you were already looking at, Jack. He's averaging, $530 a day every day on his fees and commissions. Multiply that by 5 accounts. That's $2,500 in fees and commissions in a single day. That's a lot. There is, I say that though, that one $26,000 winning day, which I think was last Monday, he had $1,200 per account. So that's 6,000 in fees and commissions to make 130 grand. That's a small cost of doing business when you're making money, but it's when you're having those $3,000 daily loss limit days and you have all those trades that those fees really, add up and start to become something that will affect your performance.
Yeah. I mean, what jumped out at me is there's been 2 days. Well, this last day, it traded 714 total contracts. Um, it's rare. I think this is the clubhouse leader for me. I don't think I've seen anyone trade that much. Um, but at that level of it, so that was $1,528 in total fees and commissions. with a $3,000 loss limit. This is real specific advice because I have not seen this before. Usually the fees and commissions aren't making a huge dent in like your loss limit, but when you're trading that much, that's half your loss limit for fees and commissions.
Right.
$1,500 is a lot. 714 contracts is a lot.
Yeah, and
So
then the 714, divide that in half. That's how many round turns. But yeah, that's a lot. And I mean, if you look at that trade day too, his P&L high for the day was $1,235. But he had 6 winning trades there and 4 losing trades on that day, at least consecutive. So you know, what he held his winners for 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes, held the losers for 6.5 minutes on that day. That's a lot. If you're doing that kind of size, that kind of volume, non-member rates might be, it's going to influence your bottom line there. So
yeah.
that was one of the areas, for improvement or things to consider is, cost of transactions, maybe being a little bit more selective with those trades. 31 trades a day is a lot. So I think, the last thing I have here is keep a close eye on the statistics. He should be looking at these trade reports regularly. I'm sure he is, but they always tell a pretty clear story too, especially after, getting 11 days under his belt on the account too.
Cool. Well, hope he turns it around. Who else we got in order here?
Yeah, I mean, I hope he turns the cold streak around. It's a four day losing streak for 63 grand. He's still really profitable. So can't cut him up too much here, but just we're talking about stuff that we see on the trade reports. If you want to move
Yeah.
on, let's
One
talk
last thing I'll
about.
say about Shane is from the stats angle, anything can happen once. I think it's you got to so putting up like the 26K per account. Um, if you're going to have all these daily losses, at some point you got to prove you can do that again, right? So you have some idea of how frequently you can do it. I don't know, like I haven't seen the fills and stuff, so I don't know how unusual a day that was, or if it's just something that can be relied on. Because as you mentioned, he has a 12K winning day in this account, 9K winning, 26 being the biggest.
Mhm.
It's gonna be interesting stats, how much you can bank on that happening again. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you. He's made it clear that he can take big bites out of the market with the 12,000, the 9,000, the obviously the 26,000. But there's a $6,000 winning day there too. So as long as he keeps putting up those big numbers like that, it's okay to have 50% losing days. But we want to see the consistent taking big bites out of the market. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's move on to who we got next.
Let's talk about Joshua Jordan. Joshua is someone that we called up from XFA to live, trading out Popka, Florida. That's a new one on me. But really good stats here for Joshua. He only spent 15 days in the XFA before we called him up to live. Trading the NASDAQ, trading the crude oil, hasn't been too active in the crude oil. I think he only traded that 2 days during this XFA where he had like $100 losing day and a $300 losing day, something like that. So, stick to the NASDAQ, I would think that's what's working. But obviously, he's not risking too much in the oil. So if he wants to continue looking for opportunities there, I think it's a great market to find opportunities in. But NASDAQ's what's working for him to the tune of, during this XFA over those 15 days, he's averaging about $2,500 a day, times 15 days. So he's moving over to the live account with a nice hefty account balance. Another person who can take big bites out of the market, his best day here, Jack, 87% winning days is stellar. That's going to be hard to maintain, but definitely want to strive to maintain it. But that big bite that I was mentioning, $10,417. There's a lot of other four-figure winning days that are not on the low end of the range. 4,700, 4,400, 3,500, 3,300, 4,700, 3,600, 1,900, 2,000,
Well, yeah,
2,100.
that's what I wanted to read through because I mean, this is one of the more consistent cards I think I've seen as far as like yes, only two losing days out of the 15. They were both daily loss limits of 6 grand. So
Yep.
besides that, as you said, it was up 280, up 2,000, up 1,000, up 1,000, up 4,600, up 4,400, up 3,500, up 10,400, up 3,200, 4,600, 3,500, 2,000, 2,000. I mean, he's making, it's not like he's scratching or like making a little bit and then not controlling the losses. He's just like clockwork making like $1,000 to $4,000 a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got somewhat of a risk appetite. Seems to be trading five lots for the most part, taking 11 trades per day, and his trade location's very good. Um, where he's not taking a lot of heat. If you look at the trade report, there's not a lot of those winning days where he was even down money at any point in time. Whatever he was doing in the NASDAQ kind of, took off at that time upon entry and really, worked for him. So risk reward is about one and a half to one. $790 in profits per contract while he's only risking 524, and that's per contract. Hold time's pretty good here. 17
Yeah.
minutes in the winners, 12 minutes in the losers. Some of those bigger winning days that he's had, I shouldn't say the bigger winning days, but he's holding anything up to 45 minutes, or actually, excuse me, an hour and a half. That was a losing day for holding a winning trade for an hour and a half. I think, he's probably, I said he's got his trade location pegged nicely. I think he's catching a small piece of the trend for the day. So buying pullbacks or selling into rallies, looking for catching a piece of the trend for the day. It's working. It's really working for him.
I can see from the card, so he's not YOLOing. So the two losing days are both 3K losers, but what's nice about this card that I see is that he is cutting things because I see the P&L low for some of the days, which means he got out flat, down money, and then turned it around on some of them. Like, it looks like he cut bait at down $480 one day and then turned it into a 10K winner.
I see what you're talking about.
June 21st is one for the ages. He was down flat 2,300, and then there's just $700 of risk left, less than that, and then he turned it into a $4,400 winner that day.
Yeah,
So
battling back.
yeah, because for me, like the bad people, not bad people. None of you are bad people that I know of. It's more like the suboptimal trading I see when people hit the risk limits is the classic is they just have a position on and they just let it run until it hits their limit or doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, YOLO.
Yes.
Set it and forget it. But no, I mean, yeah, he battled back that day. Let's see, are there any other days where he did that? It looks like that was the one day that he did it. No. Yeah. I mean, very little heat on that $10,000 winning day. He was down $480, turned it around. Not down 2,300 on June 17th. Turned it around, made $1,000 on the day. Yeah, I mean, and also that first day in his XFA, he was down $2,700. Ended the day about break even at 280. So he's definitely trading the markets and not his P&L from what the very little that I can see on this card with what we're looking at from these last 15 days.
Awesome. Well, great trading.
Yeah, great trading. It looks like he only took one payout for $150 during this 15-day period. Eligible for a lot more. I'm happy that he'll be carrying a nice hefty account balance over the live account. Make sure that if and when these, 3,000, if he finds himself starting to lose money on these trading days, and we know he can hit 3,000 with the average losing day of $3,122, we will want to, have a nice healthy account balance maintenance level, which he's going to have, but it doesn't mean that he can't take $1,000 in a payout or more. But I'd like to see Joshua pay himself a little bit more. We always want to be
Right on.
taking payouts. Looks like he covered an activation fee or a data fee for the $150, basically.
Great. Who do?
All right.
Oh, we got a big one for the finale too, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do. Raphael, let's pull his card up. Kind of a heavy hitter out of Israel. And I say heavy hitter because he has, had a very large account balance. I know he's up there on the leaderboard. This is someone that probably everybody that's tuned in over the last 2 weeks is, well aware of him and what he's doing. I also talked about him last week. To my dismay, it was not last week. It was the week before. He was one of the gentlemen that had a 14,000. He was almost up 15 grand on the day, and turned a $14,000 winning day into a $5,000 losing day. He trades size, and he hit his daily loss limit, got some slippage during a volatile time in the market. But he is, he's still wildly profitable, which you can see on the card, averaging $2,500 plus on a daily basis. And this is in a live account. Very happy, Jack. He just took $80,000 in payouts. That was on the 4th of July. On the 4th of July. So, yeah, doesn't have the same account balance that he did have, but he's someone that's been trading well. And because he is taking, big bites out of the market, the live market, we've got him at a $5,000 personal loss limit. We expanded his loss limit, which, as a reminder for everybody out there, is something we will do. If the shoe fits, we want to give our traders, just like Dakota, the flexibility to, risk a little bit more if they're showing that they can, take big money out of the market. And, some notable days here. He's got today's day 18 in the live account, but of the 17 days that are registering on this trade report, back at the end of June, he had a $44,000 winning day. That was, he talk about catching a piece of the trend for the day. So that was over the course of 3 trades. He made that money on like trading 3 lots, 44 grand trading 3 lots. But he held it for like 8 hours. So totally caught a piece of the trend for the day. Other notable
14,
day.
So 7 round trip contracts. So that was presumably the
7
E-mini
round turns.
NASDAQ. So he held like 7 NASDAQ for 8 hours, 7 hours and 52 minutes.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yep. Which is super difficult to do. I've found for myself, going from a short time frame to a long time frame was probably one of the biggest hurdles or struggles. I shouldn't say struggle, challenges. It's really challenging, us as retail traders, whatever you want to label yourself. When you get into the trading industry, you tend to look at the short time frame charts, and then as time goes on, I found myself knowing that I needed to get out onto a higher time frame for a variety of reasons. But that was a super big growing pain. I talk about people having guts and stuff like that to stick out trades and whatnot, and not hit the exit button and cash in on what P&L they have. You really got to stick to your guns, and if you're framing out trades, where you need to get out if you're wrong, where you need to get out if you're right, it does make it a lot easier. People that are trading their P&L or looking at their account balance or their P&L for the day are going to really have big issues moving out onto a higher time frame because they see big profits and they're like, oh shoot, I got to capture these, as opposed to sitting there and having confidence in where you believe that the market's going to actually go to.
Do
when
we
you
think he
framed it out ahead of time.
walked away at some point during this? Because I was just doing the math. So on a 7 lot, it means he took more than 300 points out of the NQ. I think you're right that that's a trade that I couldn't, even if I was did it perfectly. I don't think I could sit there if I was watching it and see it go past 200 points in my favor and be like, I want three. But you know, if you're like a Dakota or something like that, where you're just asleep during it or put it on and hold it, I mean, that's what you got to do if you're gonna. Very
I
impressive
mean,
trade.
it is. I think you do have to be able to walk away. During those trades, going back to framing out the trade, knowing where you're getting out if you're wrong and having a good idea of where you're getting out if you're right ahead of time before you even put the trade on makes it that much easier to, not only hold on to the trades, but walk away. Um, unless
Yeah.
you're watching the market and you see the market stop going up or have some reason for adjusting what your take profit or your profit target was, whatever level you thought the market was going to go to. I mean, your reasoning for putting the trade on shouldn't really change. So whether you're there or not shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. I mean, I found myself and again, this took a little while to get there. Speaking of the challenges with going to a higher time frame from shorter time frame, but when I started trading, there was no way I'd have risk exposure on, even if I had to stop in and walk away from the computer at all to fast forward years down the road. Like I put the trade on, I put my stop in, and I was off to go get breakfast or take a walk or go get lunch. Like just kind of mental exercises you can do with yourself to kind of take emotions out of your trading are important. And I think, if you frame things out, why do you need to be there really?
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's
Yeah.
some economic event happening that you should be there. I mean, you don't need to be there for the whole time. You should have a pretty good idea of what the market's doing, even if you're going for a walk, check your phone, something like that, see what it's doing. But, there's a
All
lot of a
right.
lot of professional traders that do that.
Yeah. Well, congrats to Raphael and everyone else we talked about today. Some great cards. We're going to take a quick break right now. And when we come back, it's going to be group coaching with JD and Robert. So have your questions ready. I think they have the form already done. Oh, I see it there. Last call for group coaching questions. That should be a fun time. Mick, thanks again. And I'll see you soon. All right, man?
All right. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, everybody.